There are now 6 covered call ETFs that I track pretty closely. 3 pairs, each covering essentially the same general strategy, but from different angles. SPYI and QQQI from NEOS, JEPI and JEPQ from JPMorgan, GPIC and GPIX from Goldman Sachs. All 6 of these obviously pay that monthly income for us. All 6 obviously use options overlays. None of them are the same thing though. And choosing the wrong one, in my opinion, for your specific situation really costs you either some real money or some real compounding potential. And today, I'm going to give you at least my honest opinion on each pair, what they do well, what they trade away, and where they belong in a long-term portfolio. So here's the current landscape in really some plain, easy to understand numbers. JEPI, S&P 500, 8.27% yield, 0.35% expense ratio, 44 billion in assets, the largest income ETF on the market. Distributions are primarily ordinary income, okay? JEPQ, NASDAQ 100 version of JEPI, 10.6% yield, 0.35% expense ratio, 38 billion in assets. Also, ordinary income. SPYI, NEOS S&P 500 high income ETF, 12% yield, 0.6% expense ratio, uses actual S&P 500 index options, which get Section 1256 tax treatment, 60-40 long-term and short-term gains. Significant return of capital component, really that differs taxes. Low beta of 0.69, meaning more upside is capped. QQQI, NEOS NASDAQ 100 version of SPYI, 13.5% yield, 0.68% expense ratio, same favorable tax treatments, okay? Total return since inception, approximately 21% annually. GPIC, Goldman Sachs NASDAQ 100 income ETF, 9.5 to 10.5% yield, 0.29% expense ratio. The lowest of this group only covers 25 to 75% of the portfolio with calls, more upside participation, beta of 1.1, past year total return approximately 26 to 28%. GPIX, Goldman Sachs S&P 500 version, around 8.5% yield, 0.29% expense ratio, beta of 0.85, more upside than SPYI, but less than pure S&P 500 exposure. Now, before the pair-by-pair breakdown, here's the organizing framework here. Every covered call ETF sits somewhere on 2 axes, right? The first axis is income versus appreciation. How much of the index's upside does the fund capture versus how much does it convert to income? The second axis is tax efficiency. Does the income hit your tax bill at ordinary income rates, or does the fund structure offer some favorable tax treatments, okay? So where you sit on each axis obviously is going to determine which fund belongs in your specific portfolio and which account you place it in, okay? So high income, tax efficient, SPYI, QQQI, best in taxable accounts where the tax advantage really does make a big difference, right? High income, ordinary income, JEPI, JEPQ, these are best in a Roth, in my opinion, where the tax disadvantage is really neutralized and the higher yield really compounds fully for me. Lower income, more appreciation, GPIC, GPIX, best for accumulation phase investors who really want NASDAQ or S&P exposure with some income, but they don't want maximum yield, right? And they want the lowest expense ratio of the group, okay? So let's talk about pair 1. SPYI and QQQI, obviously this is NEOS. These are the tax efficiency leaders of this entire group. Both use actual index options that qualify for Section 1256 tax treatment. Combined with significant return of capital distributions, investors in taxable accounts keep way more of what these funds pay than they would with JEPI or JEPQ. SPYI at 12% in a taxable account at a 24% bracket, the tax advantage treatment means that you're actually keeping a significantly more than you would from a JEPQ 10.5% yield with full ordinary income tax treatment. The effective after-tax yield gap between SPYI in a taxable and JEPQ in a taxable is really real and really does compound a lot over time. The trade-off, SPYI and QQQI have higher expense ratios at 0.68%, more than double what GPIC and GPIX charge, and both are obviously way more aggressively capping our upsides. SPYI's beta of 0.69 means it participates in significantly less of the S&P 500's gains than the index itself actually delivers. My verdict on SPYI and QQQI, best choice obviously for a taxable brokerage account where this section 1256 and the ROC tax efficiency has some dollar value. Not ideal, obviously, for Roth IRAs where the tax advantage is irrelevant and the higher cost and upside cap become really unnecessary trade-offs. Pair number 2, JEPI and JEPQ, obviously JPMorgan here, right? These are, right, the institutional credibility leaders in this space. They are the largest, they are the most liquid, the most widely held income ETFs in the space. JEPI at 44 billion in assets, JEPQ at 38 billion. They ain't going away anytime soon. The bid-ask spreads are nice and tight. The operational track record, obviously across multiple market cycles, this is something we can see, right? JEPI and JEPQ use ELNs, equity-linked notes, rather than direct options, though, which means the income is classified as ordinary income, right? In a taxable account at 24%, that's not some annual tax drag for you. In a Roth IRA, it obviously disappears completely. But for the income phase of investing, when distributions fund actual living expenses, JEPQ in particular delivers a nice 10.5% yield with JPMorgan's institutional management have it behind it. JEPI's lower 8% yield makes JEPQ the stronger income vehicle of this pair, obviously, though JEPI obviously provides way broader diversification through S&P 500 exposure with obviously lower NASDAQ concentration. My personal verdict on between JEPI and JEPQ, obviously best choice for a Roth IRA account where ordinary income classification costs literally nothing and the higher yield allows it to compound fully tax-free. JEPQ for NASDAQ income in the Roth, JEPI for S&P 500 income in the Roth with some lower volatility profiles on both of those. Pair number 3, GPIC and GPIX, obviously coming out from Goldman Sachs, right? These are the total return and expense ratio leaders at 0.29%. Both are the most cost-efficient funds in the group, okay? Less than half the cost of SPYI and QQQI and the cheaper than JEPI and JEPQ, all right? The partial overlay structure covering only 25 to 75% of their portfolio means both GPIC and GPIX capture way more upside of the underlying index's appreciation than literally any other pair we're talking about. In the past year, GPIC delivered 26% total return, including distributions, right? That's higher than QQQI's approximate, 20% since inception, largely because, right, GPIC is participating way more in that NASDAQ upside. The trade-off is this, though. The yield, of course, is lower. GPIC at 9.5%, GPIX at 8.5%, pay less current income than any of the funds here we're talking about. For investors who need maximum monthly cash flow, GPIC and GPIX obviously underdeliver relative to like a QQQI and a JEPQ. But for investors who don't need maximum income right now, and they are in, their accumulation phases in their life where everything is reinvesting automatically anyway, the lower yield combined with stronger NAV growth and lower fees has produced a way better total return. My verdict for GPIC and GPIX is the best choice for accumulation phase investors who want NASDAQ or S&P income exposure with the lowest expense ratio and the most upside participation. The fund I've recently moved the majority of my NASDAQ income allocation into is GPIC. Not the right choice if you need maximum current income, obviously, okay? But here's kind of this full picture. Let's condense it a little bit, right? No single fund wins across everything, okay? Each pair has very specific strengths and obviously specific costs. SPYI and QQQI win on tax efficiency for taxable accounts. Own them in a taxable. Don't own them in a Roth. The advantages obviously disappears and the expense premium remains, okay? JEPI and JEPQ win on, obviously, let's be honest, institutional stability, liquidity, and Roth IRA compounding. I own them both in my Roth. I don't own them in my tax because of that ordinary income tax drag, okay? GPIC and GPIX win on total return and cost efficiency for accumulation phase investors. Own them if you're, planning to reinvest everything and you really don't need like the maximum possible income right now. Switch to QQQI or JEPQ when the income phase really starts and cash flow becomes a priority for your specific situation. The mistake most people make is picking one fund and basing everything on the headline yield and holding it in the wrong account. account. Account placement is so important. It's as important as the fund you actually, even select for yourself here, okay? I got some questions for you guys, as always, down below in that comment section. Number one, which of these 6 funds are you personally currently holding? And are they in the accounts that match their actual tax profiles? And number 2, of these pairs, which one do you think is the most appropriate for where you are right now in your specific investing journey? I would love to hear some of your stories down below in the comment section. If you're brand new to all this stuff, I want to invite you to the full ARC Option Strategy Workshop. It's the first link in the description of today's video. I break everything down in plain, easy to understand English. At the end, you get my 15 favorite stocks under $30, my 2 premium calculators, and my full trade log template. You'll see that as the first link in the description of today's video. Guys, remember, sell options, collect premiums, repeat. I'll see y'all tomorrow.